It was an ordinary afternoon at the hospital, one of those long shifts where the hours melt together. I had been a nurse for nearly 15 years and I had come to believe I'd seen everything. Life, death, miracles, heartbreak. But I didn't believe in God the way some of my patients did. When they whispered about angels or prayed before surgery, I used to smile politely. I thought faith was something people clung to because they were afraid. I believed in science, in what I could measure and prove. I never thought that one day I would be the one on the other side of the line where proof no longer mattered. That day I remember feeling tired but not sick. I was helping a patient when a sharp pain gripped my chest. It was sudden, like someone had reached inside and squeezed my heart. I stumbled, trying to catch my breath, but the room began to spin. My colleague Emma caught me before I hit the floor. I could hear distant voices. Code blue. Get a crash cart. But they sounded muffled, like I was underwater. Then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was standing. At least I thought I was. The room was frozen in motion. I saw my own body lying on the floor, nurses working frantically over me. I could hear the beeping of the monitors, the sound of chest compressions, but it was as if I were watching a movie. For a moment I didn't understand. I reached out to touch Emma's shoulder, but my hand passed right through her. That's when the realization hit me: I was dead. I should have felt panic, but strangely there was peace. A warmth surrounded me, gentle and living, like the light itself had a heartbeat. I turned, and that's when I saw it. A light brighter than any light I had ever known, yet it didn't hurt my eyes. It called to me, pulling me like a tide. The closer I moved toward it, the more I felt my heart open. Every fear, every doubt, every sin I had ever buried seemed to fall away like ash. Then I heard a voice. Not loud but strong. It wasn't a sound that entered my ears. It entered my being. The voice said, Grace. Just my name. Yet in that single word was love so deep it broke me. I fell to my knees, though I wasn't sure I had knees anymore. The voice spoke again. You have been given much knowledge, but you do not know me. I wanted to speak, to answer, but I couldn't. Memories flooded before me. Moments I had mocked faith, times I had laughed when patients thanked Jesus, my pride in thinking I didn't need God. I began to weep, but there were no tears, only sorrow. Then the light drew nearer, and from it stepped a figure. I couldn't look directly at him at first. The brilliance was too much. But somehow I knew who he was. Every fiber of my being knew. It was Jesus. He reached out his hand, and when I saw the scars, I gasped. Those scars spoke louder than any sermon. He said, Grace, I love you. I've always loved you. But the time is short. I am coming soon, and many are not ready. His eyes, oh, those eyes, were like fire and mercy at once. When he looked at me, I saw everything. My life, my unbelief, my wasted time. I wanted to fall at his feet, to beg for another chance. Suddenly the light around us shifted. I found myself standing in a place that looked like glass and air at once. Below us were scenes of the world. Cities, families, churches. I saw people living as if nothing eternal existed. Then I saw something that shook me to my core. The sky split open, and a sound like a trumpet rolled through creation. People vanished, gone in the blink of an eye. Chaos followed. Planes fell, cars crashed, children cried out. I watched as confusion spread, as some screamed, Jesus, and others cursed his name. Then I heard his voice again. This is near, Grace. Tell them I am at the door. Tears filled my soul, if a soul can weep. Lord, I whispered, I was wrong. I didn't believe. How could you show this to me? He said softly, because I have chosen you to warn others. Your life is not over. The light began to fade. I didn't want to leave. I reached toward him, crying, Please don't send me back. He smiled, oh that smile, and said, You will understand soon. Tell them that my mercy still stands, but not for long. Then suddenly I felt myself falling, fast, through darkness, through sound, and then pain rushed back into my body. My chest heaved, air burned my lungs, and I heard Emma's voice shouting, She's back. She's back. I gasped for breath, trembling, tears running down my face. Everyone was cheering, but I was weeping. I had seen eternity. I had seen the truth I spent my life denying. From that moment, everything changed. I knew what I saw was real, more real than this world. And I knew one thing above all: Jesus is coming soon. When I opened my eyes in the hospital bed, the light felt too bright, too sharp, like I had returned from a world that made this one seem faint and hollow. My colleagues surrounded me, relief in their eyes, but I could hardly speak. They kept saying how lucky I was, how close I came to not making it. I just stared at the ceiling, tears sliding silently down my cheeks. I wasn't crying from fear or pain. I was crying because I had seen him. I had seen Jesus. And now, every breath I took felt like borrowed time. For days I barely spoke. Every sound, every heartbeat reminded me that I was living again, but not for myself anymore. I could still hear his voice echoing in my mind. Tell them I am at the door. I didn't fully understand what he meant, but I knew it had something to do with what I saw. The trumpet, the chaos, the disappearance of people in the blink of an eye. That wasn't a dream. It was a warning. At night I couldn't sleep. Each time I closed my eyes, I saw the vision again. The sky tearing open, the world trembling, and the look of terror on the faces of those left behind. I would wake up drenched in sweat, whispering, "Lord, what do you want me to do?" And though the room was silent, my spirit could still feel his nearness. Tell them. Show them my mercy while there's still time. I decided to speak with Pastor John, a local minister whose sermons I had once ignored. When I sat across from him, I told him everything. The pain, the moment I died, the light, Jesus' words, and the vision of the rapture. He listened quietly, tears welling in his eyes. When I finished, he whispered, "Grace, the Lord spared your life for a purpose. You were a skeptic and now you're a witness. The world needs to hear this." We prayed together that day, and for the first time in years I truly felt clean. As we prayed, I felt something break inside me. Pride, unbelief, all the walls I'd built around my heart. The words of 2 Peter 3 verse 9 came to me so clearly. "The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, but is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish." That was the heart of what I had seen. God's patience, his mercy stretched out over a world that doesn't even realize it's standing on the edge of eternity. After that day, my life was no longer my own. I left the hospital within a week, physically weak but spiritually awake. Everywhere I went, I felt an urgency I couldn't explain. When I saw people rushing about, talking, laughing, scrolling on their phones, I felt this ache deep inside. I wanted to grab them and say, "Do you know? Do you even realize how close we are?" But how could I explain something so beyond words? How do you tell the world that heaven is real and hell is real without sounding crazy? Then one night, as I sat on my porch under the stars, the air still and quiet, I felt that same presence again. It was like heaven was leaning close. I closed my eyes and instantly I was somewhere else. Not fully asleep, not awake, but suspended between both. Before me stood an angel, tall, radiant, yet peaceful. His eyes were like lightning and stillness all at once. He said, "Grace, you have seen what many long to see. What you witnessed was not just death, it was revelation. The trumpet you saw will sound soon. Tell the church to prepare." I asked him, "Why me? I'm no preacher. I've made mistakes. I'm not worthy." The angel's voice softened. "You were chosen because you doubted. Your doubt will make your testimony strong. Many are asleep even in the church. You will awaken them." When I came to, I was weeping again. I wrote down every word I could remember. That night, I opened my Bible to Revelation 22 verse 12. "Behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according to his work." The words leaped off the page, alive, burning into my heart. I realized the time wasn't far away. Jesus was truly coming soon, sooner than most people think. Days passed and I began sharing my story. First with friends, then with church groups, and soon online. Some believed, some mocked, and some just stared, unsure. But it didn't matter to me anymore. I wasn't trying to convince anyone. I was obeying a call. Every time I spoke, I felt the Holy Spirit strengthen me. I could feel heaven urging me forward, whispering through the words. The time of mercy is closing. The King is at the door. Sometimes, late at night, I would still see flashes of that vision. The light, the trumpet, the faces of those left behind. It wasn't a nightmare anymore. It was a burden. I began praying for people I'd never met, for strangers, for souls who still didn't know. I'd wake up whispering, "Lord, save them before it's too late." I no longer feared death. I had seen what waits beyond it, and I knew it was real. More real than this world of noise and shadows. I realized how fragile our lives are, how easily one heartbeat separates us from eternity. And as I looked at my reflection in the mirror, I no longer saw the old Grace, the proud, skeptical nurse. I saw a woman reborn, carrying a message that could not stay silent. Every day now, I live with one truth burning in my heart. The trumpet will sound soon. And when it does, there will be no time left to choose. Jesus is coming and the door of mercy will close. I can't unsee what I saw. All I can do is keep telling the world before it's too late. It has been months since that day, since I died, since I saw eternity, since I heard the voice that changed everything. Life has gone back to what most people would call normal, but for me, nothing will ever be ordinary again. I wake up every morning with a sense that the air itself is thinner, that time is running out faster than we realize. Every sunrise feels borrowed. Every heartbeat feels like mercy. At first, I tried to go back to work. I put my uniform on, stood in front of the mirror and told myself I could handle it. But when I walked through the hospital doors, something in me trembled. I looked at the patients lying in their beds, the monitors blinking softly beside them, and I saw more than bodies. I saw souls on the edge of eternity. Some of them were just hours away from standing where I had stood. I began to pray quietly as I worked, whispering over them when no one was looking. It didn't matter what their charts said. I just couldn't bear the thought of anyone stepping into eternity unprepared. There were moments when I wanted to forget. It would have been easier to go back to being the old Grace, the woman who trusted in science and routine. But then the memories came again. The light, the warmth, the eyes of Jesus, and the sound of that trumpet. Every time I tried to silence it, I would hear his words echo in my spirit. Tell them, Grace. Tell them I am coming soon. So I began to speak. I didn't care about reputation anymore. I shared my story in church halls, at small gatherings, even in hospital waiting rooms. Some people wept. Some laughed. Some looked away. But I could see something in their eyes. The fear, the questions, the stirring of something deeper. The Spirit of God would move through those moments, and I'd know that even if one heart turned back to him, it was worth it. Then one night, while I was praying, I had another experience. Not like before, not as intense, but it felt real, as though heaven brushed against earth for a brief moment. I saw a great crowd of people standing on a vast plain. Above them was a light, brighter than the sun, yet soft, like love itself. And I heard the same voice again, the voice I knew belonged to him. Grace, look. I looked closer and I saw faces. Some I recognized, others I didn't. I saw those who had heard my story, some who had turned their hearts to God, and others still wandering. The voice said, "Every word you speak for my name echoes in eternity. Do not stop. There are still souls who must hear." I fell to my knees in tears, and when I opened my eyes, I was back in my room. But everything inside me burned like fire. I picked up my Bible, the same one I had ignored for years, and it opened to Romans 13 verse 11. "And do this, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep. For now our salvation is nearer than when we believed." I knew then that my mission wasn't just to tell people about my near-death experience. It was to wake them up, to shake the sleepers, to remind the world that the end isn't a myth. The rapture, the return of Jesus, it's closer than ever. The more I spoke, the more resistance I faced. Some accused me of spreading fear. Others said I was imagining things. But I remembered what he told me, that I was chosen because I once doubted. My doubt had become my proof, my weakness turned into testimony. I realized that it didn't matter who believed me. What mattered was obedience. I was alive for one reason, to warn others before the door of mercy closed. Sometimes I still dream of that light. I see the face of Jesus, calm and radiant, his hands reaching toward the earth. In those dreams, I always feel his heart, how it breaks for the lost, how it longs for his children to come home. I wake up crying, whispering, "Lord, use me again." And every time I feel his answer in the stillness, "Keep watching. Keep warning. I am coming soon." My days are quieter now. I spend more time in prayer than in conversation. When I see the news, the disasters, the violence, the way people mock the things of God, I understand why he showed me what he did. The signs are everywhere. The world is trembling on the edge of fulfillment. I can almost hear the echo of that trumpet in the distance. Sometimes I stand outside at night and look up at the stars. I remember the peace I felt in his presence, the love that wrapped around me like light. I whisper, "Thank you for bringing me back. Thank you for letting me see." I know that when my time truly comes again, I won't fear it. Because I've already seen the other side and I know who waits for me there. So if you're hearing my story now, know this. It's not just a tale of death and life. It's a message. Jesus is real. Heaven is real. Hell is real. And the rapture is coming sooner than you think. Don't wait. Don't harden your heart like I once did. Repent. Seek him while there's still time. Because one day the trumpet will sound, and when it does, there will be no more chances. I am Grace. I was a nurse who thought faith was foolish until I died and met the one who is faith itself. And now I live not for this world but for eternity. Everything I am, every breath I take is a reflection of his mercy. And until the day he calls me home again, I will keep saying the same words he spoke to me. Tell them I am coming soon.